about what it is we're seeing out here. Now, I do just need to run through a little bit of the housekeeping whilst we make
less than a millimetre of what we actually see of the coral. The rest is a hard calcium carbonate skeleton that they form from the surrounding seawater. Now, living inside of those coral polyps, we actually have that single-celled
rely on that to get a lot of their food and energy source. So without it living inside, they can't actually produce enough energy to create their hard calcium carbonate skeletons, and we wouldn't have these beautiful hard coral reefs we actually have today. It's a plate coral. If it looks like a bush in your garden, it's a bushy coral. We've got corals that look like rocks or boulders, and they're our boulder corals. Now we also do this with our fish as well. Now our branching corals and our plate corals are some of our fastest growing coral out here on the reef. So they can actually grow upwards of 30% orange eyes. And some beautiful parrotfish down there as well, I'll come back to. Now because these corals can grow so fast, what actually happens is they can get what appears to be white tips or white borders around them. And this can often get mistaken as coral bleaching. That's not what it actually is on these corals, that's fresh coral growth. So that tip of the coral, that edge of the coral has grown nice and quickly, and the algae living inside hasn't been able to keep up.
Shark. Right side.
Right side? Shark on the right?
Right side.
On the right? Oh, little white tip reef shark. Oh, so much. Awesome. Alright, let's talk about the... So that's one of the reasons why our seagrass meadows around Green Island are so important to us, because they're feeding our more vulnerable sea creatures. Awesome. So you can see why we call it fish bombing, guys. We get a lot of our larger species of predatory fish hanging out around here, because the different currents that hit this bombing are bringing different nutrients in for them to feed on. So let's go through a few. So we've got the pinky fish with the long nose, okay? These are our spangled emperors. So they're the ones that with the blue speckle throughout their scale. Now, our spangled emperors, pretty cool. They're actually using that nose to dig around in the sand for a lot of crustaceans and invertebrates to feed on. So you actually see them sifting around. They often, you'll see the sand sift out of their gills. Now these are one of those fish species, so those silvery fish that look like torpedoes, they've got a big strong fork-shaped tail, so any fish with a fork-shaped tail is going to be built for speed. And at the base of their tail they have a reinforced spine called a scoop. Now this actually allows them to get up to max speeds of about 60 kilometers an hour. So if anybody's really streamlined, which can help them get up to those max speeds, and they can quickly jump them out to change direction. Now if we have another look at a different species of fish, there's one on the right hand side. They are a surgeon fish. So if we see that fish with the yellow pectoral fins, so those two side fins flapping up and down, a little bit like bird wings, they are our sturgeon fish. So they're predominantly using those pectoral fins to propel them through their water, and they use that tail fin to change direction. Now our sturgeon fish are what we call a grazing herd for one another. Pretty much all they're doing there is siphoning our seawater, hoping that plankton's going to swim in. Now we did have a batfish hanging around. If you can see a skinny fish, which is grey in colour with some black. Oh, there's a giant trevally at the back, guys. See that big GT? So that big torpedo-shaped fish. That's a giant trevally. These little ones are the brassy trevally. Now the batfish was up at the rear of the sub on the left-hand side. Now batfish are pretty cool, okay? As juveniles, they don't look nothing like they do now. They actually mimic dead floating leaves on the surface of the water. So you'll normally find them hiding amongst the mangroves. You might even be lucky enough to see some in the marina at Cairns. I've seen a few in there before. You think it's a little bit of rubbish or a leaf, and that's actually a fish. So they'll do that while they're juveniles, and then they'll graduate to life out here on the reef. They'll keep their nice slender shape, which allows them to duck in and out of our tight coral crevices nice and quickly to escape any predation, or if they're hunting anything themselves. Now they're what we refer to as an omnivore, so they're feeding on almost anything out here. They're a fussy eater. They'll eat crustaceans, invertebrates. It can be a little bit of a speedy fish. But if you look at their mouth, you'll more than likely see those large canine teeth hanging out from their mouth. Now that's what they're using to hunt with, okay? Again, really good eyesight. They actually have these deep nostril grooves that run from that nose to their eye, which allows them to have good peripheral vision to see. So I've already mentioned a few of those. So they're a food source for our green sea turtles and also our dugongs.